I remember the day driving after one of the IED events that was pretty horrific. We were on a loose, sandy road. And I don't know, in my mind, it was just screaming like, this is it. This is going to happen. I'm going to be killed today.
During his deployment in Iraq, Marine Sergeant Nick Morrison helped rebuild local infrastructure while under the constant threat of death.
I tried to observe everything. It could be trash on the side of the road. It could be a vehicle that shouldn't be where it's supposed to be. It could be just a person that I could deem as a physical threat based on their size and proximity to me.
If he was going to keep functioning, he had to find a way to deal with the unrelenting stress.
The way that I dealt with that is that I just accepted that I was dead and that it was going to happen. And that was the only way that I could really push it away.
His coping mechanisms worked while in survival mode, but it was a different story once he got back home to Indiana.
To leave, literally like that last mission, almost dying, to 4 days later, I'm home and in theory I'm safe. But the programs I built within my mind to do my job and to perform, those programs weren't just going to go away.
Nick felt his life was under threat, even in his quiet rural home.
When I would hear a car coming that would pass my house, literally I would stop what I was doing and I would position myself in a manner that I would not be able to be observed by the car passing by. So yeah, I was basically hiding in my own house. And then that led to further isolation, withdrawing from friends and family. And then it just continued, honestly, to get worse as far as like crazy weight loss. I was down to like I was less than 140 pounds. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. And then eventually it got to a point where I would like stop talking. I would just shut down completely.
Over the span of 8 years, he tried many different therapists with no luck.
Why am I having these thoughts? Why am I doing this? Why am I not getting better? Why will this not go away? What is wrong with me? And so that was really hard because I think most of my life I've tried to help others and I think I'm good at it. But then it was very hard. Like, why can I not fix me?
He was struggling. He was in a really dark place, didn't know necessarily how to get out of it, had a moment that he realized, okay, I have to address this. And I'm gonna reach out. And I'm gonna take that leap of faith. I'm gonna hope somebody catches me.
Hey, how you doing?
Nick reached out to the Wounded Warrior Project, and they connected him with the Road Home program at Rush University in Chicago, Illinois, a few hours from his home in Indiana. Road Home is part of the Warrior Care Network, which provides an intensive outpatient treatment for veterans and service members who struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder, military sexual trauma, and related conditions. For a lot of people, the hardest part about getting treatment for PTSD is the first step, making that first call. Some veterans have had terrible experiences with the medical establishment, so Road Home makes sure that first call is answered by folks who care.
Thank you for calling the Road Home program. This is Brittany speaking. How can I assist you?
Brittany Hewing listens to veteran stories and helps determine if the program is a good fit for them.
I know when a warrior is ready for treatment when they make that first call. Making that first call is a huge step. It's basically reaching out to a stranger that you have no idea who they are or how they'll be on the phone. But reaching out lets me know that you're ready for assistance and you want to change in your life.
It turns out it was a good fit for Nick, so he enrolled in Road Home's intensive outpatient program.
And so they're delivered this care over the course of 2 to 3 weeks in a group of people that understand what they're going through. And this isn't just any type of treatment. This is tailor-made, individualized, and comprehensive care.
A team of clinicians, including neuropsychologists, psychiatrists, and nurses, worked with experts in fields like mindfulness and nutrition to create a customized program for Nick. They looked at all his experience with medications and treatments and took a new approach to his PTSD. including art therapy. Here's Stephanie Clark at Rush.
Art therapy is helpful, I think, for a lot of reasons. One of them is I think sometimes it's hard to verbalize, to say how you're feeling, and to talk about what you've been through. And so in those situations, art can be a really good way to get what you're feeling out without having to use words.
Nick had always struggled to talk about what happened to him.
That's awesome. Oftentimes, when I do actually start to open up and share, it ends up being too much for the audience. Or they just don't know how to react, or they don't know how to process what I'm delivering. And there's a part of me that's like, so it's hard for you to hear my story. How do you think it is? How do you think I feel? Like I'm carrying that with me every day.
Group therapy at Rush ended up being a place where he could finally share openly.
Getting around other veterans who had been through the same things that I had been through, or been through worse things that I had been through, and being able to find that connection with somebody who I could share and they actually truly got it.
Dr. Brian Klassen led the sessions that Nick was a part of.
I think Nick and others like him, just the combination of the camaraderie of being around other veterans who've had similar traumas, have similar struggles now, it just creates this environment where people can feel safe, the walls come down, they start to open up, and then they get around, a really passionate, dedicated team of clinicians who, can go farther with them than they would be able to otherwise. When we were talking earlier, you said that like the sort of group sessions were, to you, one of the most important aspects.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just where a lot of the magic happened. With our healing process, the space to share, to be heard, to feel heard, and then going through it, I think as a cohort with other veterans, that was such an important aspect to this program versus individual therapy at home. Like, or I'm just talking to a therapist, like, sure. Yeah, it helped. Mm-hmm. But like the military, we train together, we fight together, we get rewarded together, we get punished together. So again, why not heal together?
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world, right? Yeah. When you think about it like that. And I think why it works is because we often see people that define themselves, define their story based off a split second in time, maybe 2 minutes at most, for something that happened 10 or 15 years ago. But once you help them talk openly about what happened and they build relationships with other veterans in our treatment team, they can start to take some steps away from that memory and start to, I sort of say, give adequate weight to these other aspects of their identity. I mean, maybe they're a father, a mother, a husband, a wife, a brother, a sister.
Another big help was bringing in Chaplain Mark Schimmelfenning, known to veterans as Chaps. And here's the bonus. He's also a vet.
And there's no better way as far as capturing a group of veterans' attention or earning their trust or us feeling that we're in a place where, hey, these folks get us. Mark did that for us. Yeah, I remember him coming in and sharing his story. I remember him coming in and forgiving us. I remember him taking me and another veteran into his office when we were emotionally distressed and grounding us and bringing us back.
They'll get all the treatment, and they'll get the meds, and they'll get the protocols and all of that to work on the PTSD. My first question is, how's your soul? No one's been asked that. And most often a vet will think about it as, not so good. That's where I start.
And what he remembers about Nick is that his soul was hurting.
If I had to pinpoint one thing for me that really stood out, it would be the aspect of moral injury. I felt like for years I was trying to share with therapists. I didn't know it was called moral injury at the time, but basically, like, the way I'd put it is I felt like my moral compass had shattered, or the way that I viewed humanity and the way that I viewed people in general had changed.
Once he was able to enunciate, what does that mean based on his trauma and his experience, that's what we started to work on.
I feel like I was able to work through things in 3 weeks there that I had not been able to in the past 7 or 8 years of therapy. I think it's an amazing holistic approach.
We made a significant progress, and he's still working it.
You know, just because somebody catches you doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get better. You have to do the work. But you don't have to do that work alone. And I think that Nick is a great example of that. He put in the work. He availed himself to the help. And he's got a different life now. I'm
proud of myself for taking the steps to ask for help, for seeking help, for continuing to push through and to continue to work on myself. At times, I think that in the past I looked back and like, why am I doing this? Or, it doesn't seem like anything's changing. But I think, and I know over time, obviously that's not the case. So yeah, I'm proud of myself for putting in the work.
So what people can learn from Nick is a true example of perseverance, of willingness, certainly of hope. His story is so inspirational and not uncommon.
I don't often get to see the results of something I might have participated in. So, to be able to see Nick and hear those comments and things, it's a real blessing for me.
Sorry, I got a little emotional on that part. I mean, honestly, it's a lifelong journey. It gets better with time. And I had to go through the things that I went through in my past to get to where I am now. And I like it here.
BrainLine is powered in part by Wounded Warrior Project to honor and empower post 9/11 injured service members, veterans, and their families.